Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. My name is Ryan Duffield. Just a quick tech note before we begin. We are going to be broadcasting this on Zoom and YouTube Live, and a recording will go up after the Dharma talk, after the service, on YouTube. While we love to see all your faces on Zoom, for anyone who prefers to remain anonymous, just disable your video and change your Zoom profile name using the 3 dots at the top of your picture in your Zoom profile box. We're going to recite from our Rituals and Practices booklet at the beginning and end of every service. If you don't have a copy, you can find a link in the chat. And after the service, we'll unmute the Zoom call for conversations and connections. So please join us. That portion will not be posted online. So good morning again. As I said, I am Ryan Duffield. This is my first Dharma talk. I'm excited to be here. I'm humbled to get to talk to all of you today. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Before I get into it, I'd like to do a little reminder that no teaching in this tradition is unequivocal. The Buddha was a man and a teacher, and an exceptional one, but we don't revere him as a god or a prophet. Any realization or attainment or anything like that was the result of human endeavor and intelligence. This teaching today is going to be the same way. I hope it's a reminder. I hope it touches your deeper understanding. I hope it touches your heart. But if it doesn't seem right to you in some way, just trust that and listen as a meditation, and sense where you are and where you should go from here. So let's start with our 3 refuges. They can be found in the practice book, as I said, that's linked in the chat. Thank you. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. Now we will do our Heart Sutra, which is also in the Rituals and Practices book. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of Prajna Paramita, perceived the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then, the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. Thanks, everyone. One more time, my name is Ryan Duffield. Again, thanks for joining us. This is my first Dharma talk. I'm excited to give it here at the end of our summer session before we start our fall programming soon. I've been asked to say a little bit about myself before we get started. By way of a resume, I grew up in a small farm town in Iowa. I went to college there. I wandered around a little bit and then eventually found myself in law school at Ann Arbor, where I met my wife. We then wandered around for a while before finding our way back to Grand Rapids to be closer to her parents. That's who live in Grand Haven. We have two wonderful daughters, 18-month-old and 4-year-old. They keep us super busy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. They are the light of my life. And yeah, we gave up our legal practice and now run a small clothing business here in town, which is a lot of fun. As far as my spiritual path goes, not super interesting there. I've been, to some extent or another, a follower of the Dharma my entire adult life. I found my way to this temple in, I think it was 2016, after we made it to Grand Rapids. I took the precepts here. I received the gift of the precepts here in, I think it was 2017. Now I'm training to be a Dharma teacher with the senior monks, particularly Isu. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. I recommend any of you who have the inclination, reach out to a senior monk, see if it's something that fits for you. We have a preceptor program coming up starting in the fall, and then a Bodhisattva program as well, which are the first 2 steps if you've completed those. Yeah, feel free to look into Dharma teacher training. So today I want to talk about Interbeing. it's a teaching that resounds deeply with me, and I think it's vitally important right now. It's as important as it's ever been right now. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, I'm sure we've all noticed. And as much as we kind of want everything to be the way it was before, that's not the way it's happening. We've all discovered new hobbies, new passions, but we've also found some new fears and new neuroses. We're going to have to eventually reintegrate into a society where proximity was going to trigger fight or flight reactions. Since this pandemic's been going on, I've wanted to carry around a little bottle of water to squirt at people if they get too close, but probably not good. So I've been looking to the Interbeing teachings to try to move past that. The teachings that we are not separate. We are all part of this universe. They come from Thich Nhat Hanh invented the word in the 60s or 70s, according to his recollection, the Interbeing word itself. It's the way we think of it here is rooted in the Mahayana teachings. We're a Mahayana temple. Whereas if you think of the Theravadan teachings as sort of the first turning of the wheel of the Dharma, the Tripitaka, the Agamas, the Nikayas, the Pali Canon, all the word of the Buddha that was, passed down to his disciples and then written down at the conferences. So in there, they have dependent origination. We have dependent origination. It's sort of the core teachings. And then if the Mahayana teachings are the second layer, the second turning of the wheel, Interbeing is sort of that upper layer that sits on dependent origination. It's a modern interpretation that I think works really well for us right now. And there's a 4-hour version of this Dharma talk that's just the difference between the Theravadan version and the Mahayana version. So be glad you're not listening to that one. There's many reasons we all step into a Buddhist temple, a Grand Rapids Buddhist temple, any Buddhist temple, any spiritual path, really. And I think it's to find, I'm going to lump them together just to make it easy. It's to find an adequate and satisfying view of the world. I think that's what we're doing here. And today, the daily practice is to get our feelings aligned with that view. And that's what I want to do today. I want to try to help us feel the Interbeing teachings a little bit, if we can. And to do that, I want to start to talk about patterns. So this room, this world, this universe, it's full of objects, just stuff, bells and lecterns and statues, stuff that just floats around in space. But objects are what we see when our eyes are out of focus. Objects are fuzzy. Take a look at anything, this desk, the statue, they're made of wood. And so if we look deeper into that wood, we see the cells. And if we look deeper, if we focus a little more, we'll see the molecules that make up those cells. We'll see the atoms that make up those molecules. We'll go deeper. We see protons, electrons. Deeper than that, you stay leptons and mesons. I think I'm out of my depth here. We're not even supposed to call those elementary particles anymore because there's in theory and stuff that says there may be something deeper. As the farther we look, the fuzzier objects seem. They are this layer that our mind just puts on top of the patterns that exist, the patterns of atoms, the patterns of this swirling universe. And we don't need objects. Patterns adequately describe everything that can be described. Objects are fuzzy. And so we are these patterns too. Let's start at the beginning, the very beginning. So let's assume that we all have a very, at least loose understanding of the Big Bang theory, right? This scientists think that that's how the universe began. There was this primordial explosion and it launched all our galaxies and everything out into space. The way Alan Watts describes it, is as, let's say you took a bottle of ink, you threw it at the wall, smash. And in the metal, it's dense, right? And then as you get further and farther out, it forms finer and finer droplets. And it's complicated out here on the end. And you sitting at home, or me sitting in this room, we are these complicated droplets out here. A billion years ago, we were the Big Bang, and now we are a complicated human being, separated in time, separated in space from the Big Bang. But we aren't. We are not a result of the process. We are still the process. We are still the primordial energy of the universe coming on at me, as all of us, as whoever we are, as whatever form we currently are, as Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so or Ms. So-and-so. And I'm that too. And we forget that we are this pattern of energy. We are this whirlpool. We are something the universe is doing in the same way that a whirlpool is something the river is doing. Let's say you walk by a river and you look down and you see a whirlpool. And you're like, there's that whirlpool. And then the next day you walk by and it's in the same place, that whirlpool. And you say, there's that whirlpool again. Third day, river, whirlpool. It has a definite form, even though water is not staying put in it. No water is staying put in it. It's the same way that I recognize you. I recognize that whirlpool. We are all just a swirling pattern of this primordial energy. And that's interbeing. That's Indra's net from the Avatamsaka. That's we are. We are all this swirling pattern. And we forget that. Somewhere along the way, we lost our innocence. We get anxious and we work ourselves up and we think and we consider, and have we considered enough? Have I thought about this enough? No, you haven't. Of course you haven't. You never can. We've lost this thing that the cats and the flowers have, this innocence, and we think that we make mistakes, but we don't. We're just part of the universe. Have you ever seen a badly formed cloud? Have you ever seen a wave out of place? It's all about how we define ourselves. And even inside your skin, you aren't consistent with how you define yourselves. Open your hand, close it. It's something you're doing, but tell me how you're doing it. You can't. Words are too clumsy. It's the same way that you are growing your hair or digesting or beating your heart. Do you beat your heart or don't you? Is that something you do voluntarily or involuntarily? We are more than just what we do voluntarily. That's a small part of my total performance, what I do voluntarily. That's all the same result of these patterns. We inter-are, we inter-be. This is all the same way that you beat your heart, you shine the stars. And once you realize that, you'll laugh yourself silly. Your body knows it. It circulates your blood in the same way that it shines the sun. In other words, when you really start to see things, when you look at an old paper cup and you go into the nature of what it is to see what vision is, or what smell is, or what touch is, you realize that the vision of the paper cup is the brilliant light of the cosmos. Nothing could be brighter. 10,000 suns couldn't be brighter. Only they're hidden in the sense that all the points of the infinite light are so tiny, when you see them in the cup, they don't blow your eyes out. See, the source of all light is in the eye. If there was no eyes in this world, the sun would not be light. So if I hit as hard as I can on a drum, which has no skin, it makes no noise. So if a sun shines on a world with no eyes, it's like a hand beating on a skinless drum. No light. You evoke light out of the universe, in the same way you, by nature of having a soft skin, evoke hardness out of wood. Wood is only hard in relation to a soft skin. It's your eardrums that evoke noise out of the air. You, by being this organism, call into being this whole universe of light and color and hardness and heaviness and everything. So, what's the takeaway from that? That we aren't separate. We inter-are. We are all these patterns. We're all this energy, this primordial energy of the universe. So when someone is yelling about their political views and won't stop, just remember that they're the same energy as you, just swirling in a slightly different way. And the important part is not even that we're separate, not even that we inter-are. It's the no self that comes out of this. It's we're realizing that we're made of things that are not I things. And that leads to emptiness, eventually to the end of suffering. Emptiness and interbeing. I like to think of interbeing as sort of the fullness that is the same as emptiness. And I'd talk more about that next time if I can. Let me... Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today, I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second I am arriving. To be a bud on a spring branch. To be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest. To be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower. To be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am a mayfly, metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo, with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughters at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up and the door of my heart could be left open, the door of compassion. Please prepare yourselves for meditation. Thank you, everyone. Due to some special circumstances today, we're going to do our closing gathas, then end the YouTube recording before coming back to our announcements. Our closing gathas can be found in the practice book, and we'll start with the Gatha of Atonement. For all unskilled action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. Okay, now announcements.
Hi, I'm Jing Su. I just have a couple announcements. If anyone is in the chat, we don't currently have the capability to stream Zoom announcements. If anyone is wanting to share something, please type it in the chat box. Also, we have a meeting, I believe it's tomorrow night, for our fundraising committee. We are still planning on having our, December 4th big fundraising thing. It's called something. Oh, Jing Su says there is Lojong this evening at 5:30 p.m. Please join us. I don't know if Jing Su, can you say whether that is on Zoom stream or in person? I think it's on the Zoom stream, same channel. Okay, thank you. And yeah, whether we are in person or not, we will still have, as of now, we will still have our big fundraising thing at the end of, on December 4th. Does anyone else have any announcements or questions for our speaker? Okay, with that, thank you everyone for joining us, and in a few moments we will join for tea and chat on Zoom. Have a great day.